सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चैतन्यं सर्वगं सर्वं सर्वभूतगुहाशयं यत्सर्वविषयातीतं तस्मै सर्वविदे नमः। एवं आभास विविक्त पदार्थ स्वरूप अज्ञानात् यथा तार्किकाणां व्यामोहः आभास विविक्त पदार्थ स्वरूप अज्ञानात्. So just as the Tarkikas do not understand difference between the Abhasa and the Atma, Ajnanat Tarkikanam Vyamoha, that Jnanam Kriyate. So they think that there is no Jnanam, consciousness inherent there in Atma, and that the consciousness is created in Atma when Atma comes in contact with the mind. In deep sleep state, when there is no mind, there is no consciousness. In waking, when you wake up, there is consciousness because there is the association mind. So, jnanam kriyate, jnanam is consciousness, kriyate is created. Tatha, similarly, Bauddhanai buddhi vyatirikto grahako nasti. Now, Bauddhas say that again, there is no independent sakshi for Bauddhas. There is no eternal or nitya vastu for them. The ultimate reality for Bauddhas is buddhi. Our intellect is ultimate reality. Buddhi vyatirikto grahako nasti. There is no grahaka, perceiver, prakashaka, illuminator other than buddhi. They do not accept something called Atma, consciousness, and abiding reality. Buddhi is the ultimate reality, and for them, swasamvedyam, that buddhi reveals itself. So buddhi knows itself. Something that the Vedantin finds difficult to accept. That one entity is simultaneously knower as well as known. This kind of split cannot be in one entity, but they say that the buddhi is self-revealing. Swasamvedyam knows itself. Buddhi vyatirikto grahako nasti. There is no grahaka, perceiver, prakashaka other than buddhi. Ini vyamoha. Buddhas have this Vyamoha. So, verse 72 says, Swameva bhasyante grahakaha swameva cha pratyaya iti shesha. Pratyaya swameva bhasyante. Pratyaya, the thoughts of the buddhi, they shine on their own. Grahakaha swameva cha, and they perceive themselves. So, the buddhi, which means the various vritti, the thoughts of the buddhi, they reveal themselves and know themselves. Swami, they do not require another entity called consciousness to reveal them. And so, Swami avabhasyante, they shine on their own. Grahakaha, they do not require someone else as an illuminator. Grahakaha swami, they illumine themselves. So they shine themselves, they illumine themselves. Iti evam grahaka astitvam pratishedanti saukataha. Saukata, followers of Sukata or Buddha. They deny the existence of a grahaka, a prakashaka, an illuminator other than buddhi. They deny the existence of consciousness or atma other than buddhi. Because you cannot experience atma. So Vedantins have Upanishad as praman. Therefore we start with existence of atma. Atma va idame kevagra asid. But if that is not your pramanam, then you start with your own experience. And Atma cannot become the object of experience for you as you are accustomed to experience. The most you can experience is buddhi. And so, pratyaya swayameva avasyante. Pratyaya swayameva grahakaha. Iti evam pratyayanam grahakam anyam sthiram anadritya. So, Buddha similar thus, they anadritya, they disregard an illuminator other than the buddhi pratyaya, the thoughts of the buddhi. Pratyameva grahi grahakakaram Buddha manyante. Pratyam, the buddhist thoughts, they are illumined and they are illuminator. Grahya, they are illumined. Grahaka, they are illuminators. Buddha manyante. Tari tanmadasya anubhava. Then that seems to be their opinion is based on anubhava. Chidabhas anubhagame katham te nirakartavyaha. So they do not also see the need of accepting a chidabhasa. For us, the buddhi is illumined through chidabhasa. The whole idea is that Atma cannot directly illumine buddhi. Therefore, Atma can illumine only through chidabhasa. But if chidabhasa is not accepted, then abhasa anubhagyame kathante nirakartavyaha. And you fellows who also do not accept chidabhasa, so how will you refute them? You also don't accept chidabhasa. That means you accept consciousness directly illumining buddhi. They don't accept illuminated buddhi anyway. You accept Atma as illuminated buddhi without the agency of chidabhasa. See, this is the thing. So then you are as vulnerable as they are. So how will you dismiss them? How will you refute them? Yadi evam nanya dushyaste kim tadvaram uchyatam. Evam, in this manner, te nanya dushyaha buddhi pratyaha. The thoughts of the buddhi are na anya dushyaha. They are not perceived, illumined by someone other than themselves. This is their opinion. Kim tadvaram uchyatam. How will you refute them? So this is a question we ask of our own people who accept is Sakshi or witness, but do not accept the Chidabhasa. So you would explain how Sakshi or consciousness elimines these pratyas. That discussion will come. Te pratyaha nanya drusyaha. Anyena sakshana nityasya na grahya ityade Buddha vadanti. Buddha said that those pratyas are not illumined by Sakshi other than themselves. Tan matavaram kim ityadavchadam. How will you refute their opinion? Iti yukte. Swayukta, then he says, so this person who is avasvayutya, who accepts consciousness as eliminator of the pratyas, but without the agency of the Chidabhasa. So says, second line is the reply that the pseudo-Vedantin gives to us, to the Vedantin. We call it pseudo-Vedanta, meaning that they do not accept Vedanta in totality. Bhava, bhava tesham yo, nanyagrahyo satayadi. Tesham bhava bhavau, yadi anyagrahyo nas, so sata nanyagrahyo yadi. So now you are aware of the bhava and abhava of the buddhi pratyayas. That buddhi pratyayas are there in waking and dream. Bhava, abhava, they are not there in deep sleep. Both of these are known to you. So whoever it is that knows the bhava and abhava, existence and non-existence of buddhi pratyaya, so tesham yo bhava bhava utpatti vinashu sata svata siddhena sakshana anyena na grahyav yadyapi. Both things are there, grahyo and na grahyo. If a sat or an existence, sat means self-existent. So sakshi also is called sat. Sakshi is self-illumined and self-existence. That bhava bhava, the presence and absence of these pratyas. So anyena grahyav, if they are illumined by a sakshi other than themselves, tathapi yasmin pratyayana bhava bhava soham asmiti pratyabhijñā balat. So pratyabhijñā balat tesham grahak anvai sthayatma siddhyati. He said pratyabhijñā. So the anya sakshi which is existing, so that is the one that illumines the bhava bhava of the pratyas. How do you know that sakshi? Yasmin pratyayana bhava bhava, that in which there is a bhava and abhava, presence and absence of these thoughts. So must be the pratyabhijñā balat. That I was the one in which there was abhava. I am the one in which there is bhava. So I recognize myself as the one in whom there was abhava in deep sleep. I recognize myself as the one in whom there is bhava when I wake up. So by pratyabhijñā, that I am, sohamiti. And that is how by pratyabhijñā, I recognize myself as the sakshi of the bhava and abhava of this pratyaya. Tesham grahaka anvayi. So then we have to go next line also. Anvayi grahakastesham ityedapi tatsamam. So anvayi grahakastesham. Anvayi means sthai, continuous. So therefore, I am the one who was a witness of their absence and now is the witness of their presence. So therefore the I persists in absence of pratyas, in presence of pratyas. So that's called anvay. Anvay means the one that is present in both of them. So sthāyi atma siddhyati. So therefore I am that sthāyi atma who was aware of their absence as well as aware of their presence. That is how anvay sthāyi atma siddhyati anvay grahakastesham. So this Svayuthya says that that's how we establish the presence of a Anvayi Sthai Atma, who is the eliminator of that bhava and abhava. So this is the whole idea, is to explain our experience. It is true that the bhava, the presence of the thoughts, abhava, absence of, is illumined. So they say that I know that I was the one, I was present when they were not there, I am present when they are there, therefore by Anvayavita I know that I am the sthai or persistent witness of them. So that is enough to establish the existence of a permanent or persistent witness. Kim abhasa kalpanaya. Why do you need to imagine there is an abhasa for eliminating this? So, I know the presence of the Sakshi, that I am the Sakshi who was there when they were absent. I am the Sakshi who is there when they are present. That I am sthai, I am the persistent witness. And that's how the persistent witness is established. So why do you need a mechanism? Our question is, what's the mechanism for the Sakshi to illumine those pratyas? He says, why do you need that? You know the Sakshi by the Anvaya Vyatireka, that you are present and both in a bhava and a bhava. Then, answer is given, ityetadapi tat samamiti. Even this position also is not much different from the position of Bauddhas. Evam swayutyena yukte netavada Bauddha varayitum shakyate. If you arrive at the persistent Sakshi, merely by this process that I was there in their absence, I am there in the presence, and the same I am there, that's the Pratyabhijna. And that is enough to establish that Sakshi illumines them. Says, no, then your position is not much different from those of Buddhas. So therefore, then the now next verse says, Anvayi grahakastesham ityetadapi tatsamam achititpasya tulyatva anyasmin grahake sati. Etadapi tatsamam, your position, etadapi. What is etadapi? Pratyabhijnana siddhamapi grahaka rupam. That you are the grahaka, prakashaka, illuminator of those pratyas, the vrittis of the buddhi, by the method of this pratyabhijna. That I am the one who was the witness of their absence, same I am there, witness of the presence, and therefore that I am the illuminator. Pratyabhijnana siddha grahaka rupam tat samam. If you are the illuminator of those pratyas, then you are not different from those pratyas. Yes, tat samam, pratyaya samam. Jadam eva. If you are the illuminator, then you are also jada. The point is, if you are the illuminator, then you enjoy the same degree of reality as them. Light must enjoy the same degree of reality. What is illumined? Electricity cannot illumine this. Electricity, therefore, through the filament must assume a reality equal to this illumined. That is what Vedanta says. That consciousness cannot directly illumine anything. Consciousness can illumine only through Chidabhasa, because consciousness also should attain the same degree of reality as what is illumined. If you are saying that the witness or consciousness directly illumines, then it becomes the same degree of reality as what is illumined. Pratyasamam jadamevayati. Then that consciousness also will have the same degree of reality as pratyas or buddhis, vrittis. And therefore, achitittvasya tulyatvat. Achiti means unconscious. Pratyas are unconscious. You also, illuminator also is unconscious because same degree of reality. So now we are coming to the nitty-gritty. What's the need of accepting the Chidavasa, agents of Chidavasa, for the consciousness to conduct all this Vyavahara? Consciousness or Brahman, they cannot directly do any Vyavahara because it's transcendental reality. Adhishthanam. For doing Vyavahara, it must come down to this level. And that is how Chidavasa is presented here. If you don't accept Chidavasa, then how does consciousness illumine this? And you say it illumines, then you'd accept consciousness as of the same degree of reality that what is illumined. And what is illumined? Achiti. Then that illuminated also becomes Achiti. Achititvasya tulyatvat. Ayamartha Tikakara says, Pratyay grahakah aprakasha swaprakasova. So pratyay grahaka, the one that illumines the pratyaya, the thoughts of the buddhi. Aprakasaka is not self-illumined. Swaprakasava or self-illumined. Not self-shining or self-shining. Adyampatya is not self-illumined, then it requires another illuminator. Aditatvasya tulyatvat. Anyasmin grahake sati. So this illuminator also requires to be illumined. Then it goes in the category of illumined. In that case, it is also achit or unconscious. Anyasmin grahake sati grahya koti patitatvena. This illuminator also is illumined by, so with reference to the illuminator, this is illumined. Now with reference to pratyas, he is illuminator. But if it requires illumined by someone else, then with that illuminator, this falls the category illumined. So grahya koti, grahya means illumined. Grahya koti patitatvena. If this sakshi also is illumined by another illuminator, then falls in the same category of illumined. Jadya pariharat, whatever is illumined is unconscious. That is our definition of consciousness, which illumines itself and illumines everything else. That we call unconscious, which cannot illumine itself and illumine nothing else. So if you require to be illumined, then you fall in the category of unconscious. So then the illuminator is also jada, then also it is not self-existing. If it is not self-effulgent, not self-existing. So asiddha, how do you establish its existence? Katham pratyanam grahaka ityartha. If that illuminator also requires to be illumined, then how do you establish the existence of the illuminator? Because it requires something else to establish the existence. It is not self-illumined, so it cannot establish its own existence. Swami asiddha. So it has not yet come into being. Because it needs to be illumined by somebody else. So when it gets illumined, then it becomes illumined. Whether that is Swayam Siddha or not. So that when infinite regression also can go on, if every illuminator needs to be illumined, then infinite regression. So yet illumination has not taken place. Or now grahake sati, grahake anyasmin grahake sati. You can imagine anyasmin grahake asati also. So you can imagine the lopa of an akara there. So atava anyasmin grahake asati. So other grahaka is not there. Sutasiddhe sakshini avidyamane. For the pratyas, there is no grahaka, no eliminator other than themselves. Meaning that there is no sakshi, no eliminator, self-effulgent eliminator for these pratyas. Pratyavijñā grahasyapi achititvasya tulyatvat. In that case, this sakshi also, which you think that you are that sakshi and by pratyavijñā you know that, achititvasya tulyatvat, you are also achit and therefore grahakatva asiddhi ityartha. If other eliminator is not there, then this is not eliminated. In that case, even this, what you consider as eliminator, Atma also is uneliminated, therefore is also unconscious. द्वितीये स्वप्रकाशस्य साक्षिणत्व निर्विकारत्व आभाससिद्धि द्रष्टव्यम्. Then if other grahaka is not there, swaprakashasya sakshina. But then that comes to our opinion is that the swaprakasha sakshi must be there and nirvikaratva abhasa siddhi. He must be nirvikara and there must be an abhasa of illumination that you would accept. Then only this illumination process can take place. As I said, I'll repeat again. That consciousness by itself cannot illumine unless consciousness also falls in the category of vyavahara, and therefore it can illumine only through chidabhasa. That's the whole idea here, which they have not grasped yet. Buddhas don't accept it, so that's a different thing. But this Svayutya fellow, who does not accept chidabhasa, has not grasped the idea that the consciousness cannot directly illumine. So if it illumines, then in what category? Then it is in the category of vyavahara. Is it the vyavaharik satta and illumines these pratyas? In that case, it also requires an illuminator. Doesn't require an illuminator, then it cannot illumine. And therefore, simply saying that there is an illuminator, conscious illumines this. How does it illumine? Is it illumined or is it self-illumined or it also needs illumination? If it needs illumination, again, infinite regression. Self-illumined, then how do you, then you are accepting our position anyway, because then self-illumined, how does it illumine? Must be a different category, it can illumine through chidavasa, cannot illumine otherwise. See, that is pursued next time. Saprakashe sakshini asari. If a self-effulgent witness is not there, pratyana bhava asiddhischet. So we are asked that according to you, the presence and absence of the pratyas cannot be established unless there is a self-effulgent sakshi. So that way, existence of sakshi is established. But that is not enough for us. We want to further establish the existence of chidabhasa. He is willing to accept the existence of self-effulgent sakshi by pratyavijñā. But he doesn't probe into how does that sakshi illumine pratyas. If sakshi illumines pratyas, this is the same, because he doesn't accept another category. Same category, in that case, just says pratyas need illumination, the sakshi also will need illumination. It is not illumined, then it cannot illumine further. So you would accept a sakshi as self-illumined of a different class, not the same class as pratyas. That has not been grasped. That sakshi must be self-illumined, all right, but then it must be of a class different from the pratyas. So prakashe sakshini asati pratyana bhava asiddhischet. They are asking us, if according to you, if there is no self-effulgent witness, and therefore the presence and absence of the thoughts cannot be established, Tari, all right, that means we accept the Sakshi or self-evident witness. Tari, Sakshi, now we are coming, Sakshi, Sannidhya Matramita Siddhe. Then he says, all right, you accept a self-evident Sakshi, then self-evident Sakshi is enough to eliminate these pratyas. Sakshi, Sannidhya Matramita Siddhe. The bhava, abhava of the thoughts can be established by the Sakshi who is self-evident. These are not self-evident. Self-evident Sakshi eliminates them. Krutam abhasa. Then why do we need abhasa? He is asking. All right, we accept a Sakshi, which is self-evident. And that eliminates these pratyas, they are not self-evident. Why do we need abhasa? So, next verse is Adhyakshasya samipeto siddhisyaditi chenmatam na adhyakshenupakaritvat anyatrapi prasangatah. Adhyakshasya samipeto siddhisyaditi chenmatam. If you say that Adhyaksha or the witness, by its presence, everything gets eliminated, then no, we say that that cannot be. Adhyaksha. So what is it which makes Adhyaksha eliminate these entities? That Adhyaksha or Sakshi must have some specialty, must get something special to eliminate them. Simply remaining self in its own glory, it cannot eliminate unless some Vishesha, some change, some modification, or some special thing comes in there, then only elimination will take place. For it to shine is one thing, to illumine, it will require something. If it can illumine without any specialty, without any Vishesha, it will eliminate everything. That's what they will say, because it's Sakshi or witness, consciousness present everywhere. Not only here, out also. Then it will eliminate everything if it doesn't need any special thing. Here, because there is antahkaranam, therefore there will be chidabhasa, therefore only this will be eliminated. Elsewhere, no antahkaranam, no chidabhasa, so the inner things won't be eliminated. You don't need chidabhasa. Then he can eliminate, by being there, they eliminate everything, including all ghatapata. And everything will be eliminated, which is not the case. So for the Sakshi to eliminate, some Vishesha must come to Sakshi. Sakshi must require some special property to eliminate. It's not enough for Sakshi to eliminate being what it is, because then it is equally present. You find some things are eliminated, other things are not eliminated. You follow? You find that our thoughts are eliminated by Sakshi, but the external thing like Ghatapata are not eliminated by them, Sakshi. So, it looks like Sakshi cannot eliminate by the being Sakshi, because then everything will be eliminated. Sakshi eliminates only our thoughts. Therefore, there is some Vishesha. Something must be added into Sakshi. Some kind of specific qualification, some change, some modification, or something special the Sakshi must have to eliminate. If Sakshi eliminates just by being there, then everything will be eliminated because Sakshi is present everywhere. Only our thoughts are eliminated. So therefore, to eliminate the thoughts, Sakshi must acquire some specialty. Now Sakshi cannot acquire because it cannot change. Therefore we are talking about the Chidabhasa, that this Chidabhasa must be there through which agency Sakshi eliminates the thoughts. If Sakshi eliminates the thoughts without the agency of Chidabhasa, it can eliminate anything and everything. Because Sakshi is present everywhere. Why does Sakshi eliminate only thoughts? It eliminates the whole universe, everything will be eliminated. But we find that only our thoughts are eliminated. So for the Sakshi to eliminate thoughts, and not illumine everything, remaining Sakshi, remaining present everywhere, not illumining other things and illumining only this much. So something must be there in Sakshi. Sakshi must require some specialty to illumine this and not illumine others. So, see, tatra vaktavyam. That fellow says Sakshi is enough to illumine. Why do you need Chidabhasa? Tatra vaktavyam. If you think that merely Sakshi is enough to illumine the thoughts, kim Sakshi sannidhana matram tat pratyaya siddhi hetu. I am trying to say that merely the presence of Sakshi is enough to illumine the pratyayas. Sannidhana matram. Just Sakshi being there, is it enough for illumining pratyayas? Kim va tatkruta vishesha yogopi. Or Sakshi brings about some vishesha. And pratyayas must be associated with that vishesha. Tatkruta yogo vishesha yogopi. Sakshi does something special for these fellows. And pratyayas become associated with something that is done by Sakshi because of their element. If Sakshi can illuminate without that Vishesha, then everything will be illumined. Pratyaya the element, not others, means that some Vishesha must be there. So Tat Kruta Vishesha Yogopi, not only Sakshi is required, but some Vishesha that is created by Sakshi is also required or not? What do you say? Do you think that Sakshi alone is enough to illumine the thoughts? Or some special thing done by the Sakshi is also required for illumining thoughts? Tatra dvitiyam tavad dushayati. Second thing, dushayati. So, first na iti. Second line says na adhyakshe anupakaritvat. Says no, Sakshi by its presence cannot illumine because anupakaritva. What is upakaritvam? That Sakshi shines in his own right. When Sakshi illumines, there is upakaritvam. That Sakshi does favor to the entities and illumines them. So Sakshi must acquire some upakaritvam. Something to help or illumine these things. To shine is one thing, to illumine is another thing. So Sakshi must acquire something to illumine these entities. Then he becomes upakari, becomes illuminator. Kim va tatkruta nirvikara adhyakshe upakaritva nirupanad ityartha. Adhyakshe, adhyaksha or Sakshi, as it is just pure consciousness and therefore doesn't have any vishesha to illumine. Upakaritva anirupanad. So what makes the Sakshi illumine these entities and not other entities? So unless there is something in the Sakshi or something created by Sakshi that these thoughts are illumined and other things are not illumined, so you have to accept a factor over and above the Sakshi, which is called upakari, which is what enables the illumination of these factors, these thoughts. Nirvikare adhyakshe upakaritva anirupanat. Mere nirvikara adhyaksha, nirvikara Sakshi cannot illumine. It shines all right. For it to illumine, something must happen. So na adhyakshe anupakaritva. Pathandra adhyakshye. Now second line, adhyakshe adhyakshya. Sakshi sakshya. Drishti drishya. Adhyakshya means that is illumined by adhyaksha. Adhyakshya. Next sakshya. Drishya. Adhyaksha. Drishya, that is seen. Sakshya, that is witnessed. Adhyaksha, that is illumined. पाठांतरे अध्यक्षीय अनुपकारित्वा साक्ष्ये अहंकारादौ अनुपकारित्वात् this ahankara we eliminate remains what it is, and so why should it be eliminated unless something should happen somewhere. Nothing happens in Sakshi, so it cannot be eliminated. Nothing happens to ahankara, that it should become eliminated. So for Sakshi to become eliminated, something should happen there, or ahankara eliminated. Something should happen to ahankara for being eliminated. So Sakshi ahankara anupakaritvat. So then only something doesn't happen there also, then this wind cannot eliminate them. Upakara padavachya atishaya ajanakatvad. Upakara atishaya means something extra, something special. So nothing special happens to eliminator, nothing special happens to the eliminate, the ahankara, etc. How do you explain this phenomenon of elimination? So that's how, if you say that merely the presence of adhyaksha is enough, you can't explain it. Because for adhyaksha to eliminate, some special thing must be happening, either in eliminator or in element, but we don't see that. I mean, you don't accept anything like that. You are saying that merely adhyaksha is enough, without any change in adhyaksha or change in adhyaksha. Then prathamam dushayati. What is prathamam? Kim sakshi sannidhana matram pratyasiddhi hetu. Is sakshi sannidhana enough? Then says anyatravi, second line, anyatravi prasangatah. If sakshi can eliminate without creating any special thing, then it is equally present everywhere. It should eliminate everything. Sakshi eliminates pratyas and not everything else. So some special thing must happen, either to sakshi or to pratyaya or something, because of which this elimination. That is what the Chidabhasa is. If you don't accept Chidabhasa, you can't explain how sakshi eliminates this, or if it eliminates this, why there is not eliminate everything else. Either you explain why sakshi eliminates, then something special should happen either to sakshi or these entities. Or without that, if it can eliminate, it should eliminate everything. Anyatra prasangatah. It should eliminate everything simultaneously. Sakshina purnataya saratra sadasannidya avisheshat. Consciousness is present everywhere, all pervasive. So not only it is sannidhya of these thoughts, in sannidhya of the whole universe. Kashthaloshtadeva siddhi prasangat. Then kastha means wood, and lostha means all this cloud of earth. Then everything will be eliminated. I mean, you will know everything. You know only your pratyaya. Otherwise, the consciousness, you know everything, but that doesn't happen. In your mind, you know only the pratyayas, you don't know other things. But you do not require anything special in sakshi, then you will know everything, or you will know nothing. You know something special. That is, some specialty must be there for you to know only this and not others. Either you don't know anything or you know everything. Here you know something, do not know other things, means that something special must happen. So, evam abhyasa anabhipagame bauddhadi mata samedosha pariharanupattim swayuthyan pratiyuktva. So therefore, his yuthya, if you do not accept chidabhasa, abhasa anubhyapagame, if you do not accept abhasa or chidabhasa, bauddhadi mata samedosha parihara, then you also cannot explain how the thoughts are eliminated. If Bauddha cannot explain, Bauddha simply says thoughts are self-effulgent and self-knowing. Swasamvedyam. Sarvam kshanikam kshanikam, sarvam shunyam shunyam, sarvam swasamvedyam swasamvedyam. So buddhi is swasamvedya, knows itself. That's all, just declared. How does it work? Where do you see that? That a thing knows by itself? Oh, that's our experience. Whose experience is it? So, what they say cannot be logically explained. And then how do you get experience? And if there is an experience, unless you logically can explain, how do you arrive at a principle or a siddhanta? So if you do not accept avasa, then you, who accepts a consciousness, also cannot explain how thoughts are illimate. And the Buddha, who does not accept a consciousness, also cannot explain how the thoughts are illimate. Or you would accept that thoughts are self-illimate, like Buddha. So Buddha samya dosha. So even though you accept the adhyaksha or sakshi, if you do not accept the chidavasa, you fall in the same category of not being able to explain how the thoughts are illimate. So Buddha also cannot explain, he simply says thoughts illuminate themselves. You say that Sakshi illumines them. So they are just statements. How does Sakshi illumine them? How do thoughts illumine themselves? So, Bauddhadi Mata Samya Dosha Pariha Anupatti, therefore, you cannot also refute the dosha, the defect that Buddhas have, that they cannot arrive at the illumination of pratyas. You also cannot arrive at the illumination of pratyas. Therefore, you are in the same category. Even though you accept illuminator, but still illumination is not established, therefore you fall in the same category. Soyutyan pratyuktva. So the Soyutya is told that your position also is untenable, not logical. Further, Shastriyo bandhamoksha vyavaharavi tesham na siddhati. Further, in your opinion, the bandha and moksha vyavahara. Shastra talks about bandha and Shastra talks about moksha. So bondage also is accepted as Shastra, then only moksha has a purpose. That there is presently a bondage in my life, and therefore the moksha, the liberation, has relevance. So that also should be explained. The whole setup must be explained. But your model cannot explain the bandha moksha vyavahar also. Iti vaktum vikalpayati. To say that the options are given, vikalpa. Arthi. Arthe dukhi cha yashrota. Satvadhyakshotha vetara. Adhyakshasya cha dukhitvam. Arthitvam chanate matam. Yah arthi dukhi cha shrota cha. This fellow is in front of you, is arthi. He desires a moksha. Dukhi because presently is dukhi. Shrota, and therefore he has come to listen to you and to learn, gain knowledge. So the entity is sitting in front of you. Satu adhyaksho athva. He is adhyaksha. This dukhi, arthi, shrota. Is he adhyaksha? Is he the consciousness? Is he the witness? Athva itara, or there is someone other than him that is witness. He himself adhyaksha, then what is the problem? Adhyaksha says dukkhitvam, arthitvam, chanate matam. He is himself the adhyaksha. The adhyaksha becomes dukhi and arthi, which you won't accept. That means that you will accept a adhyaksha other than this mumuksha. So Tika says, Yaha dukhitvena moksharthitvena prasiddha Guru Upadesha Shrota. So one who is dukhi, evident on his face, arthi, moksharthi, I want to become liberated, I want to become free from, I don't know, want Swamiji. Some people, I do not want another birth. Very clear about that. That I don't want to go through this again. That is very clear. And so moksharthitvena prasiddha. So they want to avoid this business of birth because he knows what birth means, what life means. I don't want this again. Prasiddha Guru Upadesha Shrota. So Yaha means Prasiddha. It's this one sitting in front of the Guru who is a Shrota, who is dukhi and desirous of moksha. So the Adhyaksha, Seva Adhyaksha Mata. Is that the Adhyaksha? Is that the witness? Athava Itaraha Tatha Anyova. Or the Adhyaksha of the witness is other than this Mumukshu. Iti Vikalpartha. So this is the Vikalpa, the options, alternatives. Adye Niranugraha Adhyakshavadina Tav Apasiddhanta Prasanga. If you say that this fellow directly is the Adhyaksha, Shruta is Adhyaksha, all right, but not as is. Niranugraha Adhyakshavadina. Without Adhyaksha, without any change is Adhyaksha. This fellow in front of you is Adhyaksha, all right. But some anugraha must happen, some change must happen in him, then only recognize himself Adhyaksha. Adhyaksha as is, Arthi and Dukhi, Apasiddhanta, then there is no moksha at all, isn't it? Adhyaksha also is Dukhi and Arthi. Then who is liberated? And Apasiddhanta, then you are willing to accept this Mumuksha as Dukhi and Arthi, not Atma, not Adhyaksha, not witness, not consciousness. So Apasiddhanta, you will be, violating your own Siddhanta. So that Adhyaksha se Dukhitvam, Arthitvam chate nate matam, second line says, that certainly you don't accept that Adhyaksha, the witness, will be Dukhi and Arthi, desirous, inadequate. So what is the connection between the Adhyaksha and the Arthi? That's the thing. Looking for a connection between Adhyaksha, the witness, consciousness, and Arthi. You say that Adhyaksha is Arthi, or Adhyaksha becomes as though Arthi. Then the Chidabhasa comes, because Chidabhasa is what is only Buddhi Anukari. Chidabhasa follows the dharma of the Buddhi. And therefore Chidabhasa appears to be limited as Buddhi and so forth and so on. But that is only appearance, so you can be told, hey, you are Tat, you are Brahman, meaning that what you take yourself to be is different. Think about yourself, etc. That's how he can be taught. That he is Brahman who thinks that he is limited, then all these Upadesha will work. If he has become limited, Upadesha will not work because you can't tell a limited entity you are limitless. If he is a wealthy person who thinks he is a beggar, then he can be told, hey, you are a wealthy person. But a beggar cannot be told. When he is told, it doesn't serve any purpose. And so, Adhyaksha, you must explain what's the connection between the Adhyaksha, the witness, and this Mumukshu. Even though both are one, still there is some difference. Some difference must be there, is there between Adhyaksha and Mumukshu. What creates that difference? Mumukshu without undergoing, Adhyaksha without undergoing a change appears as a Mumukshu. What makes it so? Then Mumukshutva must be an appearance, not a reality. Dukhitvam, Arthitvam must not be real about this fellow. Only he can be told that, hey, you are Ananda Swarupa, you are this, that, and so forth. Means Dukhitvam, Arthitvam must be only imaginary, then only it can be dismissed. But how did they come about? In reality, the Adhyaksha all right, but not as is. So how has Adhyaksha attained a state of this Mumukshutva, Arthi and Dukhi? That you had explained. So that is where Chidabhasa comes. If you don't accept Chidabhasa, then how do you explain the connection between Adhyaksha and Arthi? So Arthi alone is Adhyaksha, or Adhyaksha is different from Arthi? If he is himself Arthi, Adhyaksha, you don't accept Adhyaksha as Arthi, then that means there is no limitation. If Arthi is different, then even if you tell this fellow you are Adhyaksha, it doesn't work. If Atma is different from this fellow, Arthi, Dukhi, or Brahman is different, even if you say you are Brahman, it doesn't work. If he is Brahman, then how come he thinks he is Arthi and Dukhi? So some Vishesha must be explained. That Brahman thinks that it is Arthi and Dukhi. So what Vishesha happens in Brahman? for you to think that I am Arthi Dukhi. So that also has to be explained. Otherwise, Bandha Moksha cannot be explained. That bondage also is a Brahma. How is that Brahma created? So Chidabhasa again thinks that Atma thinks that I am only that much. Sun thinks that I am only as good as a reflection. I am one among many, limited by this container of water, etc., etc. Sun thinks that Brahma can be removed by Upadesha. So this is the Vedanta model. Atma-bhasa anangikaravadinaste dvarabhavat. So, adhyakshasya cha dukkitvam arthitvam cha nate matam. You don't accept adhyaksha, arthi and dukhi. So, Atma-bhasa anangikaravadinah. You don't accept an Atma-bhasa or Chidabhasa, Dvar abhavat. Then what creates arthitvam, dukkhitvam in adhyaksha? So adhyaksha cannot become arthi and dukhi. And still you have an arthi and dukhi in front of you. So there is some dvara. Who is in front of you? Adhyaksha only. Now you don't accept adhyaksha, arthi and dukhi, and what you have is arthi and dukhi. So what is happening between adhyaksha and this fellow? Something must be there. At least to make an appearance of arthi dukhi. For you to believe that I am arthi dukhi. That's called the abhasa. So, witness, the adhyaksha thinks that I am chidabhasa, Adhyaksha thinks that I am chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is controlled by the buddhi. He is as good and as big as buddhi. And therefore, the adhyaksha looks at chidabhasa. I am chidabhasa. I am arthi, I am dukhi, I am samsari. This is Vedanta's prakriya. The sun looks at the reflection and thinks that I am a reflection, one among many, distorted, dull, etc. So you would accept this phenomena of reflection for the sun to have that even Brahma. Sun must see something and then doesn't know that I am looking at the reflection, thinks I am looking at myself. That's the problem. Look at the mirror, you think you are looking at yourself. And therefore, whatever defects that are in the mirror will appear in the face. You don't know that these are the face and the defects, so you think that your face is having defects. Because that's what you are accustomed to. And so that Brahma has to be removed. Actually, if the face is distorted by some problem, you can't just say you are not, you are all right. He is all right and thinks that his face is distorted, then he can be told you are all right. Very peculiar situation of Bandha Moksha. That Bandha is a Brahma, so Moksha is the elimination of Brahma. That's all, Brahma Nivritti. So Atma-bhasa anangikaravadinaste dvara bhavat avidya tatkarya sambandha asiddhe. So this avidya and tatkarya, this chidabhasa, so chidabhasa can be ignorant and then can have this Brahma, that I am so and so. So avidya tatkarya sambandha asiddhe. Otherwise, how do you connect the arthitvam, dukkhitvam with adhyaksha? How do you connect arthitvam, dukkhitvam with adhyaksha other than avidya? So some vishesha such as avidya. And therefore the chidabhasa must be accepted. In order to explain the bandha moksha, also in explain every vyavahara. If you don't accept that, no vishesha is there, then what makes an adhyaksha think that I am dukhi and that I am arthi? So dvar abhavat, since you don't accept a chidabhasa, there is no dvara, meaning there is no means for you to explain the arthitvam, dukkhitvam, avidya, tatkarya sambandha asiddhe. So then avidya and avidya karya is a Brahma. is not it's not established because you don't accept that agency. Tena cha vina arthitvadi asiddhe, tena cha vina arthitvadi asiddhe. And without avidya and avidya karya, arthitvam, which is Brahma, cannot be established. Arthitva is Brahma, and Brahma cannot be without avidya. And avidya requires a chidabhasa. So we don't accept this, then chidabhasa is not there, avidya is not there. So how to arrive at arthitva? You can't say Adhyaksha is arthi, that is not acceptable to you. Then who is arthi? Who is fellow sitting in front of you? He is Adhyaksha and still arthi. So there is something between them, which is avidya tat karyam. Abhasa abhyuga prasanga hityartha. That is how you accept the abhasa. To explain the arthitvam, dukkhitvam of the Shrota who is in front of you. Dvitiyam dushayati. Is Adhyaksha sayeva Adhyaksho ataha? Is the Shrota himself Adhyaksha? Doesn't make sense. Then Anyova Adhyaksha is different from this fellow? Then who is being told you are Brahman? You know? So this Arthi Dukkhi is Brahman. How is it so? Without the agents of ignorance, how do you say Brahman is Arthi Dukkhi? And if there is someone else who is Brahman and then this Arthi Dukkhi, then how you say you are Brahman? So he must be Brahman and thinks I am Arthi Dukkhi. Then he can be told, hey, this is wrong, this is notion, this is Brahma. See, look at yourself properly. The beggar can be told, look at the mirror properly. Whose nose is it? Whose eyes are there? Whose lips are there? Then he recognizes. Because some lakshanas cannot be hidden. So in the beggar also, Arthi Dukkhi also, some lakshanas are there. Aham asmi sadabhami kadachinna apriya. That's how we can be made to see his true nature. So verse 77 says, Karta Dhyaksha Sadasmiti Naiva Sadgraham Arhati Sadevasiti Mityokti Shruterapina Yujyate. Karta Dhyaksha Yah Sa Sadasmiti Neva Sadgraham Arhati. He is Adhyaksha, Karta, and still I am Sat. That doesn't work. Sadevasi Mityan. He is not Sat, he is Karta. And then Shruti says you are Sat, Mithya Ukti. He is not Brahman, he is a Jiva. And he is told you are Brahman. Then Shruti also is Mithya Ukti. What Shruti is also is wrong. Mithya Ukti, Shrutehe pina yujyate. So Tika says, Shrotu Arthina, Adhyaksha, Bheda Paksha. All right, the fellow sitting in front of you is Shrota. Adhyaksha, Brahman is different. Bheda Paksha. Karta, that is Kartritva Dharma ko Vikari Shrota. Then who is in front of you? Shrota. Karta. Kartritva Dharma kaha, possessed of the Dharma attribute of doership. That means he is Vikari. Shrota. The Vikara means what? He is Jada, Achetana, unconscious. So that is what he is. Sat Aham Adhyakshosmi. Then how can he ever see that I am Sat, I am Adhyaksha? If he is Karta, Sukhi, Dukhi, Arthi in reality, and Brahman that is Anarthi, Dukhi is different, then how does this fellow see that I am Brahman? Sad aham adhyakshosmiti sadgraham. That when he is told you are Sat, you are Adhyaksha, he is not. Then how does he see himself as Sat and Adhyaksha? It is sadgraham, that knowledge of Sat, sadadi shabda, nirdishta, brahmatmagraham. Sadasi, you are Sat. That means then his response is, I am Sat, I am Brahma. Sadadi shabda, nirdishta. Sat, another word, Sat you are, Tvat you are, Tat you are, etc. They they refer to Brahman, then he gets knowledge, I am Brahman. So, Nirdishta Brahmatmagraham Narhati, if he is really a Karta, a Vikari, then he cannot see himself as Brahman, Nirvikari. Narhati Virodhat. So, if really a Jiva, there is no way he can see himself as Brahman. So, Karta Adhyaksha Sadasmiti Naiva Sadgraham Arhati. Yadva Sad Adhyaksha Nirvikaratmaham Sadgraham Yathathabodham Na Rahati Na Labhate. Either way. Or he cannot see himself as Sad I am, Adhyaksha I am, Nirvikara I am, Atma I am, because he is not. And so, Sadgraham Na Rahati Na Labhate. Even if he is told 100 times, a beggar is told 100 times that you are rich, doesn't become rich. So already rich and thinks he is a beggar, that Brahma can be removed, that no change or transformation can happen. If he is already Arthi and Dukhi, any time, number of times you say that you are Brahman, doesn't work. If he is Brahman and thinks that he is Arthi Dukhi, then only he can see that Arthitvam Dukhitvam is a Brahman. Shrute Mithyokti Sadevasa Mithyokti Shruterapena Yujyade, and Shruti also cannot say you are Sat when he is not Sat. Shruti Bhada Prasangacha, that means Shruti is saying something is not right. Shruti Bhada, then Shruti also becomes here falsified. Because Shruti says something that is not right, and that's not proper. So he must be Arthi Dukhi and Adhyaksh also. How? Without the agency of Ajnana Karyam, this Chidabhasa, how to establish oneness of this Arthi Dukhi and Adhyaksha? If you don't accept the agency of how Adhyaksha thinks he is Arthi Dukhi, it is not accepted, then what happens? How does this happen? So therefore, very intelligently the teacher is establishing how this is required, that if you do not, then how things cannot be explained, our experiences cannot be explained, what Shruti says cannot be explained. By saying that, teacher is also saying what Shruti is teaching and how it is teaching. And how that will make sense only when this model is accepted. So this is the whole idea is the Chidabhasa, establishing and justifying the concept of Chidabhasa. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.